Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. My first job was as a mannequin. I held that position for a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Halls of Hegra from Tompet Games. We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. Halls of Hegra from Tompet Games is a solitaire game in which the player takes on the role of brave Norwegian defenders as they attempt to push back the German invasion in 1940. Now, this game takes place over the course of 3 stages, 3 days. They, in turn, are divided into turns. There's a total of 11 turns in this game. The first day is mobilization. The second day is the first attack. And the third day is the first and second siege. Now, for each game turn, there are 3 phases. There is the event phase, there is the morning phase, and there's the day phase. And they each play a little bit differently depending on which day you're on. Now, the game board itself represents, of course, this fort you are defending, this Norwegian fort. You've got spaces for various actions. You've got spaces for actions that are yet to be revealed. You have a space to actually go out and to get supplies. And you also have a place for the wall and the defenders there, a place for the guns, and also places where the enemies are going to come at you with artillery and aircraft tokens. So there's a lot going on this board. Now, at the beginning of the game, you're going to go ahead and draw an event card. Now, the event card is going to tell you what the weather's like. Is it snowy? Is it overcast? Is it clear? And that's going to be important because, among other things, it will say how much snow is falling. Snow can be an important factor in the game. It will also matter if you are sending any troops out to get supplies, as that can hinder them being able to do that effectively. They have 5 different kinds of defenders in this game. You have soldiers, you have volunteers, you have hunters, you have medics, and you have the officer. After you adjust the weather, you're going to go ahead and read any text or resolve any text on that card. And then you're actually going to take a number of doubt tokens, which are similar to the various unit tokens. You're going to place them in a bag with various other unit tokens. Then you're going to start drawing from the bag. Now, you can draw up to, I believe, 4 times you can draw from the bag. If you draw the first one, that's good. You're always getting him. If you draw the second one, you're okay, assuming it's not a doubt token. If it's a doubt token, you're done. But if you draw any doubt tokens after that of that 4, you immediately end, and the last token that was drawn it actually goes into the reserve pile, and the doubt token goes back into the bag. So there's a push your luck aspect when you're drawing those tokens from the bag. Now, you're going to have 3 sections for your defenders, essentially a tired section, a rest section, and a ready section. If there are any that are in the rest section at this time, there's only a maximum of 2 in there, you will move them to the ready section. Now, you have a number of supply cubes, and supply cubes are worth different amounts of supplies at different times during the game. Initially, they start off at 4, meaning for 1 cube, you can essentially take 4 characters in the tired section and immediately move them to ready. You can spend as much as you want, bearing in mind there may be consequences if you're out of supplies at the end of the day. If you have any defenders left over in the tired zone, you can move 2 of them into the rest zone, and they will become, of course, ready during the next day. Now you're going to go ahead and move the defenders to the different action spaces on the board, and there are a lot of different action spaces. Now, some of the action spaces require 2 defenders in order to activate it. However, some defenders can activate it just on their own. For instance, you need 2 defenders in the sick bay in order to heal people, but a medic, you just need one medic, and they can do it for 1. But there's also certain other areas where only they can go. For instance, only soldiers can go to the gun room. Only soldiers can defend the wall. But there are different kinds of things you can do. One of the things you can do is shovel snow. If you shovel snow, you can essentially draw a snow tile. And the snow tile may give you things. You may get more supplies, or other advantages. You may gain different access to different rooms. Essentially, you could gain, a medicine cabinet, which makes healing people more effective. You can uncover the second gun. You can uncover a radio, or just some other goodies that will make your job a lot easier. You can do a repair action, like, for instance, the guns, when they come out, they're not working properly. You can go ahead and repair the guns, removing damage tokens so that you've got access to those guns. You can also, for instance, unjam a gun. If a gun has been jammed, you can go ahead and unjam it with a repair action. You can also promote a character. For instance, if you've got a volunteer or a hunter, if you put them into that spot with the officer, he can essentially promote them to a soldier. You can adjust the defense of the wall, making it more easy to absorb hits. You can try to appeal to the townsfolk and kind of lower their doubts and what have you. You can increase morale. There's all sorts of different things you can do here. Now, once you've placed all of these defenders, you can go ahead and actually carry out these specific actions with them. You can fire artillery, depending on what the hit is. You can hit the airfield, maybe take down some of the enemy's air power. You can kind of move up your surrender conditions to keep you make you more viable in the long-term game. There's a lot of different things you can fire at. You can remove German tokens from the board there. One thing you can do is also set up supplies. Essentially, you can put supply tokens on the board. And then you can actually send characters out to go out there. And then depending on, as I say, what the weather is, they can move so many spaces toward those supplies. They go there, they can pick it up, and they can come back. But these German patrols will spawn as well. Sometimes they spawn as a result of the event cards and other factors as well. So that's going to be a real scary thing that's going to happen as you're trying to get those supplies. When those characters make it back from supply, you get 2 supply tokens immediately, plus whatever bonus is printed on the supply token they bring back. Now, critically, after you've taken your actions, all of the characters that did actions are going to move to the tired area, except for any of the defenders that you put on the wall. After you do all the actions, you're going to come back. You're going to look at morale. You're going to adjust your morale, see where that is. You're going to check the turn track, because the turn track will tell you to add certain German units on that board. And then, of course, you're going to move the turn track. So that's pretty much how all your mobilization turns play out. Now, your activation or your first attack turns will play out a little bit differently. You're still going to resolve the event cards, the text and the weather. You're still going to draw from your bag in order to gain more units as well. You're still going to, of course, figure out your defender units, how they're going to move from rest to ready and what have you. Now, beginning with this first day, you're going to start having these German meeples come out and attack you. Now, you're going to place them on the board there, and there's different kind of spaces. Sometimes they're easier to hit the further back they are, and you're going to roll a die to see whether they advance or whether they take a shot. Now, again, if they take shots, your guys defending the wall can absorb shots that your defense covers. But as your defense moves down, they're going to be more vulnerable. And if they get a hit that goes past that, they're going to go to the sick bay. You're going to roll a die, and the die is going to tell you kind of what level of injury they have and where they go on the track there. And the medics, of course, will have to try to heal them. So then the same thing, players are going to go to the different spaces. They are going to activate the different actions. They're going to carry out those actions, but then they're going to check morale and move forward on the turn track. Now, during the siege phase, you've got your hit bag. Now, during those first 2 days, you're actually adding tokens to the hit bag. And you want to add miss tokens, because miss tokens are going to help you. But here, during the siege, of course, you're going to resolve the event cards, but then you're going to be adding tokens to the hit bag, and you're going to be drawing tokens from the hit bag. You're going to be drawing a number of hit tokens depending on where the German artillery track is. and you're going to be laying those tokens out. Now, if it's a miss, then you're good. But otherwise, it may tell you you're going to hit certain places. Like, for instance, the air tokens may say a defender is going to be injured, or a gun's going to be hit, or a room is going to be hit. Something's bad is going to happen when those Germans start attacking you from the air. You're going to follow that up by the infantry attack. Again, you're going to see how many meeples come out. They are going to push forward on that bar. Now, each section can only have a maximum of 5 meeples, so if you've got to add more than 5, they would just go to the next section. You roll the die to see if they move forward or if they attack. Now, if ever they get right up against the wall, they're going to do a charge, which is a special kind of attack that you may have to use. You may have to sustain damage there in order to stop them. Now, also, too, there is a machine gun that pops up. You can use a machine gun, which costs a supply, and then it jams the gun. But potentially, you can knock out a bunch of these guys. You can also do a reckless defense, where essentially you're going to get injured, but you're going to take some of the other guys with you as well. So then, again, you do the actions again. You perform all the various actions. You pull your guys back when they're tired. You just leave the guys on the wall to keep defending. But as this goes on and on, you're going to take more casualties. More guys are going to end up in the infirmary. If you don't have room for them in the infirmary, they're going to go to the waiting room and they may die. You may have people who are killed, in which case they stack up in the morgue. So the player is having this kind of tug of war with the Germans here, fighting desperately to hold on in what seems like a losing battle. The Germans are going ahead. You've got to resolve the event cards. You've got to resolve the attacks. At the same time, you're moving your characters from tired to ready by spending supplies. You are placing your characters out on those various action spots in order to carry out those actions, which you are then carrying out. You're trying to weather the German storm. And then, of course, you're trying desperately to maintain your morale and keep your surrender number looking good. Now, at the very end of the game, you have a last stand where the Germans are throwing everything at you in an attempt to batter you down and force the surrender of the fort. Now, if at any time your surrender token makes it to the skull icon, you lose, game is over. If at the end of the last stand you do not have enough defenders to match the number on your surrender chart, then you lose immediately. But at the end of the last stand, the final turn of the game, if you have enough healthy defenders to keep the fight going, then you win! Halls of Hegra. Now, Halls of Hegra is a very, very, I don't want to say complicated game, because I don't think it's complicated, but there is a pretty big learning curve here. There is a lot of stuff you've got to know, because the game itself changes from each of those things. You've even got a player board that goes on the main board that it's on one side on the first day, you flip it over for the next day, and then you remove it for the last day. So there's a lot of stuff you've got to keep track of on the board. And yet, once you start playing it and once you get into it, it becomes much more intuitive. This was a game, the first time I played it, I was my nose in the rule book. I was watching videos. Some concepts did not click immediately. Once they did, though, once everything came together, it actually flowed relatively well. This is very interesting. It's a worker placement solitaire game with a war theme. So you got a little something here for everybody. A Eurogamer may really get a kick out of this, and a war gamer will really get a kick out of this. It's really fun to see the board evolve with the shoveling the snow and putting those different tiles in different rooms and opening those up and finding out what they could do and how they can help you. It's very interesting. It is very, very cool. I really like that quite a bit. I really enjoy that quite a bit. Now, suffice it to say, there's a lot going on in this game I didn't really touch on. There's some great videos out there that teach you the game. I'm not even attempting to do that here. I'm just trying to give you the bare bones and tell you my thoughts here. But that's one of the big takeaways. There is a pretty decent learning curve here. You want to really read the rules. You want to really watch some videos, I think, to really get it in your brain before you play it. That having been said, it's not a bad rule book. I just think the way it's organized is not as helpful as it could be, because it's kind of switching days mid-rule book. And I wish they just said, first day this, second day that, third day that. Now, you've got a chart like that on the back of the book, but it would have been more helpful just kind of in reading the order that way. Just saying, okay, this is the first thing you do in the first day of the game. And then the second day say, okay, you do these things the same, and then this is different. And then the third day, these things are the same, this is different. And it kind of tends to move around a little bit more than that. And I wasn't wild about that. But again, once you pick it up, once you get into it, it becomes a lot more intuitive. It's intense. It's intense as you're trying. I mean, this is one of those games where you're just, you're spinning the plates. You're just trying to keep everything going. What's cool here is, like I said, it's a worker placement game. And you are constantly trying to put workers in places that will be most advantageous for you, but you never have enough. There are never enough defenders for everything you want to do, because you want to shovel snow. If you get too much snow, there's penalties. You want to shovel the snow and uncover some of these other rooms, and you want to repair stuff, but you want to fire the gun, and you need defenders on the walls, and you need to send guys out for supply, and a lot of other things. You need guys in the infirmary, right? Medics and what have you. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, and you just don't have enough guys for it all. You're going to be losing guys, and it's scary, and it's tough, and it's fun. It's a very fun game. It's a fun experience. It's one of those games where, you feel like you're just being put through the ringer, but you got hope, and you got to get through it. And some of these attacks from the Germans are just brutal. It's like, okay, I can pull this out. I can pull this out. I got this. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. So, I haven't won the game yet. I come close, but it's scary, and it's hard, and it's tough. And as I say, it is fun. I really liked Halls of Hegra. I think this is just an absolutely fantastic solitaire game. This is, like I say, in level of complexity, it's a one of the higher level of complexity solitaire games that I like, but it's still within my margins here. But it's just, there's just something so captivating about this game. It is so well done. It is so smart. Arguably, maybe some things here or there could have been streamlined a little bit, and I would have appreciated that. But generally speaking, I really got into this game. So I have no hesitation recommending Halls of Hegra, 100% recommendation. Buy it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us here on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. And I'd ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history, fun things like that. I even post some of my lectures on that channel. So please check out that channel and subscribe to that channel. It would mean a lot to me. We'd also ask you to please leave a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. And if you are a big fan of the channel, you like the content we bring you here, I'd ask you to humbly click on the Super Thanks button and leave a contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, when I weigh myself, I prefer to do it in the nude. And if anybody's got a problem with that, well, they can just go to another Walmart.